Hi, I'm Elizabeth,
And I'm Cindy.
and we're here with another Feeding Frenzy for the 40-Day Prosperity Plan and in the Abundance Book by John Randolph Price, and we're on day 25. Is that right? Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Money is not my supply. No person, place, or condition is my supply. My awareness, understanding, and knowledge of the all-providing activity of the divine mind within me is my supply. My consciousness of this truth is unlimited, therefore my supply is unlimited. What's that saying to you today?
Well, I think I always hear them in different ears based on what else is going on. And this morning I was having a disagreement, I'll say. Well, not even a disagreement. I was just panicking because one of my clients owes me a large sum of money. And I have this little nagging doubt in the back of my mind that says he may not pay it. And I don't really believe that. I know he'll pay it. But with that in the back of my mind, when I hear this, I think, okay, if he doesn't pay it, then God will provide some other way, you know. That client is not my supplier. You know, he's not who my source. He's not my source. So God is my source.
So I think this is a perfect time to point out that when he says here, my consciousness of this truth is unlimited, therefore my supply is unlimited. So you being able to pull out in that moment of panic, that's okay. If he doesn't pay it, God will send it somewhere else. Your consciousness, send it somewhere else. Your consciousness of that has then become your supply in that moment.
Yeah, good point.
In that moment.
Well, it always brings back to mind years ago when I think it was a Bible study or something. We were studying, and I heard a story about a long time ago, a family who was really destitute and poor. And they had no food for the table. And the father kept saying, we're going to have bread tonight. And the kids were like, how? Where? We don't see any bread. How are we going to have bread? And they sit down to the table and still no bread. And he's like, I don't know how, but God will provide. And then there's a knock on the door. They open the door, and there's just a hand, and they can't see the person or the body if there is one, but there's a loaf of bread. And I think back on that often when I hit those places. I think, okay, God will just find another way. If it's not through this client, excuse me, or this institution, then it'll be some other way. But if I truly believe that God is my provider, then He'll have to find another way. And how doesn't really matter. You know? So, you know, that thought went through my mind this morning. But it didn't let it stay there. Because I knew that God will find another way to provide that money. So, you know, it just reminded me.
What struck me in that moment after you shared that was, wow, even in that moment, you had wrapped your hand around a supply. You know, so that's a constant activity. That even in that moment, you had a supply. You needed a peace about it.
Right, and
So
you know,
given it.
a month, 2 months ago, that thought would have come into my mind and it would stay there.
It would have stayed there.
But by thinking, okay, I don't know how God's going to do it, and if He doesn't use this client, He'll use another one or something else, but it doesn't matter how, and the thought just went as soon as it came.
Now, when it comes back in again,
When it comes back in again, I'm hoping that it'll go out quicker, you know, that each time it comes
but the point
around.
being, it still does come back in.
Oh, yeah.
We don't automatically just because we get this automatically eradicate every thought.
Right. Well, it's one of my teachers told me once, you know, I said, well, I have these thoughts. I can't control what thoughts come into my head. And she said, well, you know, a bird can land on your head, but you don't let it make a nest there. You know, you shoo it away as quick as you can so that it's not making a nest in your
I
hair.
wasn't thinking about a nest, but
Well, you know,
yeah.
you don't let something just stay there. You know, if a snake gets in the house, I'm going to get it out as quick as possible. So when I have those bad thoughts or those negative thoughts or thoughts that I don't want to dwell on, the best thing to do is get them out as soon as possible. Now, how do you get a thought out of your head? For me, it's finding a better thought that, okay, God will take care of it some other way, and replacing it, you know. Another thing I try to do, which is not as successful, is to just think of something good. Just think about a different thought. Focus somewhere else. Now, a lot of times I just focus on work and get in my head and can push those bad things out, but not always. The best one for me is to just say, okay, God's got this.
So how do you look at a perceived lack? I mean, I'm looking at bank account and it only says this much funds, and I have bills that say I need this many. So when I'm looking at it, my little R reality appears as lack. So how do you make this money is not supply? No person, place, or condition is my supply. How do you make that stick when looking at the little R reality?
It's easier now than it used to be, and I think every day I have to practice it. Because every day, well, not every day, most every day I'm looking at our bank balance and my bills. And it's sometimes more even than others, but usually the bills outweigh the balance. And I'm used to, I would panic. And now, when I look at that, I remember, okay, if I truly believe, and I truly do my best to stay in alignment, then God will make that work. I don't know how, I don't care how. But I've also noticed from observation in the recent past that things can change in a heartbeat. A tithe can come in the same day and make up that balance. Or, I don't know, a bill gets paid late, which makes everything just work out, you know. It just works out. And I can't, sometimes it's even inexplicable. It just works out.
For me, here's what I figured out. My little R reality, which are the bills that are due, is my past. That's what's already been done.
Right.
It's what I have already received energy for, and it's come due. What is here, right, in my bank account is the future, right? What I have received money for that I've not applied to what I've already spent, right? And I'm somewhere in between my past and my future. So it helps me looking at it as a time delay. Okay, this is what I've already spent. I've already taken the energy for, now I need to repurpose that energy and what I'm receiving. So somewhere in between the past and the future, here I stand. If I'm not seeing in my future enough to cover my past, then I got to make a change in my present. Then I need to put in more energy somewhere in order to cover what's already been, so that I make this higher than this. So then my future becomes higher than my past.
And I think another thing that's helped me is, of course, a lot of our business is done online, and we get paid online, and there's a delay between when the invoice goes out and when it gets paid and then when I receive it. And just seeing how much people owe me gives me some peace. Even though they may never pay that. You know, in the business we're in, sometimes we get paid and sometimes we don't. They may never pay that, but just seeing that that's what I can expect. And I've often thought, okay, what if I just up that number, even though I don't really have clients that are paying that? What if I just up that number? How much would that change my consciousness? To believe I can expect this much. Because that number doesn't mean a thing, really. You know? So I could play with that number all I want to. Then when they do pay it, there's still a delay to when I get it. But even then, that money's not guaranteed. That money's not guaranteed even once it hits my bank until I have it in my hot little hands. You know, could always, something could go wrong, but I have faith that it won't. So what if I add another step to this, to where I just expect God to provide a bazillion dollars or whatever, you know, that's no different than that money I expect in my accounts receivable. I mean, it's just all an idea, which is all money is to begin with. So if I just play with those numbers in my head and expect that, you know, when I expect it from my clients and send them an invoice, I've got a whole lot better chance of getting it than I did if I just never invoice them.
True.
So if I just sort of invoice God, so to speak, to
Mhm.
say, here's what I'm expecting, you know, I'm a whole lot more chances of getting it than if I just expect God to not do it. If I don't
Mhm.
trust Him to be my source. So that's what I've been trying to do lately, is just expect more.
Mm-hmm.
And leave it up to God.
Mhm.
And just say, okay, God, show me. He tells us in there, prove me.
Mm-hmm.
Prove me and I'll open up the windows of heaven.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to prove Him.
I think they're already open.
Oh, I
Just
do
like somebody,
too.
well, I can't remember who it was, but just like somebody else mentioned the other day, they're already open. All I have to do is gather.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned that on the blog. That
Yeah.
was awesome. Just
All I have to
you
do
know?
is gather, and I thought, wow, that's a great
Right. And
picture
they also
right there.
said, which we'd been talking about going out and finding it, and they said you don't have to go out and find it. It's already right here.
Mhm.
That really opened my eyes
Mhm.
too. So thank you for that.
Mhm.
I forgot who it was now. But it's already here.
It is already
We
here.
just got to expect it and quit.
I have found, I have to remember there's a time lapse here between what happened in my past. There's a time lapse there too. But anyway, what happened in my past and what's coming in the future. And if I want to see a change, then I need to do something in my present. I need to add more energy to that, especially if I'm seeing a difference in the two.
Do we have time to?
Yeah, we do. All right, so let's switch it for love and see if that does anything for you. Love. I'm sorry, let me try this again. Money is not my supply. No person, place, or condition is my supply. My awareness, understanding, and knowledge of the all-providing activity of the love within me is my supply. My consciousness of this love is unlimited, therefore my supply is unlimited.
Oh, that's really good.
Now what does that
really
do for
spoke
you?
to me.
In what way?
Because our passions are love. You know, passion and love is the same. And when I'm working my passion, when I'm doing my passion,
Yeah.
then it's just love. And every time we put out love, it comes back to us in some way. It may not come from the same place, but it comes back to us. And if we can just look at our work as passion.
So why do you think we
love.
can see love working so much easier than we can to God?
Our past experiences, that word has
Do you know
For
why?
me.
I think, personally, we define love or try to define love more
as
than
an
we
action.
do as an action than we do God in our life.
Yeah. I don't see God as an action. I see Him as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, a person may or may not have action. But love always has action, to me. That's my perception of love. So I think it's all about perception.
I think so too. All right, I'm going to put your name in there.
Okay.
See what that does. Money is not my supply. No person, place, or condition is my supply. My awareness, understanding, and knowledge of the all-providing activity of the Cindy within me is my supply. My consciousness of this Cindy is unlimited. Therefore, my supply is unlimited.
Wow, that reminds
does
me
that
that
do?
it's all up to me. It's my responsibility. And I have action to take.
That is the key. It's awareness, understanding, knowing, and action.
Which is just a reaction or a response to what I understand and know and am aware of, which moves me. That was good.
That's good stuff.
That was really good stuff.
Shreen,